What's it like having loving parents? Best way I can describe it is just a general feeling of security. Just knowing that they're behind you 100%. And even when they are mad at you, it's almost always because they are trying to help you in the long run. It's not something you really appreciate until you get older and start to notice kids around you that have to deal with some pretty ducked up shiz from their parents. It's kind of slowly realizing how many bad things you've just never had to worry about thanks to your support system. And the best part is how your relationship changes as you get older. When they slowly start treating you like a fellow adult and you get to see them as more of a whole person. This is real. Didn't realize how ducked my family was until I got out of college. I'm grateful for my parents of course, but after seeing how my boyfriend's family talk and treat him vs how my sisters and I are treated by our parents, it's like night and day. I slowly started to see it more in everything from my diet to how politics are treated to how mental health stability is treated. I know it could been worse, but I know exactly how I'm gonna raise my kids differently now. I had a loving mom, but a very chisty dad. My mom supported me through all my school, would go to different stores to get me supplies for my projects. She'd try to read the same books I had to, so she could engage in critical thinking discussions. Attended my sporting events and cheered me on. Would lay in bed with me after I'd have a nightmare and run her fingers through my hair till I fell asleep. Would constantly reassure me that I was capable of pursuing my dreams. She made sure to tell me she loved me every day and give me hugs frequently. She's an amazing woman and I'm so grateful I have her. I love that you said you have a chisty father, but spent the whole post talking about why your mum is great, not why your dad is chiz. He got 3 words and no more. It's affirming that whatever goes wrong or right, they're there for you. Not everyone has this, I understand. But for those that do, it's something for which to express gratitude. So much this. My parents will never stop loving me, no matter what I do. I'm so grateful to them for that fact, and for the fact that I can be completely open with them about anything I need. They are not the greatest counselors or anything, but simply having someone to share my struggles with is probably the best gift they've ever given me, besides life. It's safe to take risks. They'll catch you. I broke your favorite flask, oh dear. It is alright. It lasted a long time. Wait. Are you not angry? You really like that flask? No. A bit sad but not angry. People make mistakes, son. That is how life is. Nothing is perfect, and seriously I was thinking of buying a new one and you gave me a great excuse. I love you, MAA. You just always feel 100% safe, and that no matter what happens everything will be okay. It makes life way better. You don't have to seek companionship outside of your family as much, because you already got that loved feeling from your family. Basically you rarely feel alone when you have loving parents/family. It's only after reading these comments that I really how much I take for granted from my parents. It's difficult to put into words, but you summed it up perfectly. I have loving parents, and I'm an adult. They are not perfect. I've got baggage. We've all made mistakes in our relationship. I was never abused in any way. As an adult, I have a very good relationship with them. Maybe the big thing is that we can forgive each other easily for the errors of our past. Now it's more like having very good friends and patents. And the roles are changing as I give more advice than I receive these days. My parents are wise. I just need to learn how to listen better. I'm 25, nearly 26. My parents were incredible growing up, and they still are. I grew up middle class, never extravagantly wealthy or anything, but we never had to worry about where our next meal was coming from. My mom is a pretty tough lady. She's a 3rd generation Italian immigrant and grew up on the Hill Street, Louis Italian neighborhood. She kept us, my brother, sister and I, in line and was never very sentimental, but she always cared for us and stuck up for us. My dad is one of 6 siblings. He's the 2nd oldest. He is a very caring, sentimental guy. He's 62 and retired now, but he worked as an information technology project manager for Anheuser-Busch and made good money. They both provided well for us, gave us what we needed, and were fair in their discipline when they needed to be. I realize at my age, now that they sacrificed a lot along the way, taking us to soccer and baseball games, dropping us off, and picking us up from school every day, dealing with our being whinny and annoying, all kinds of stuff. I suppose I really did have the sort of classic American dream childhood, and I think I've always taken it for granted. What was it like? Op asks. It was nice. It was comfortable when it needed to be, and challenging when appropriate. I live on my own now, and I'm going over to see them for Father's Day today. I may mention a word of thanks for giving me a pretty nice life. My best way to describe it is that you don't notice anything at all because of how comfortable and secure everything is growing up. You realize it more and more as you grow up, but as a child, we grow up without any major concerns or significant problems because our parents shield us from all of that as much as they can. My dad would always say, if you fail your exam, I'll make you croissants. I'm super type A and would stress out a lot about tests in high school. But I always knew that no matter what I did in life, my dad would do nothing but love me. So strange how different we all are. I don't think my dad ever knew when I took an exam, ever. Maybe my sats. Especially my mom told, and still tells me, that she loves me nearly every time we see each other. As another redditor said, it's the knowledge that they will always have my back. They don't tell me they are happy or mad with my life choices, but tell me that I'm the one who need to live with them, and as long as I'm happy, they are too. They weren't perfect though, but they were able to apologize when they realized they deeply hurt me. They always explained their parenting choices, and I never once in my life heard the famous "my house, my rules." And the last thing that is very important to me is that they are absolutely loyal to their kids. Other adults or family members like older cousins or so are mocking me. They would always step in and defend me if I weren't able to. Always took my feelings seriously. I realized in elementary school that this wasn't normal for most of the adults. Sounds like your parents were consistent, which is so invaluable for a child. I grew up with an alcoholic father and narcissistic mother, the complete opposite of consistent. I suspect this is where my anxiety and depression stems from, amongst other things. Give your parents a big hug today. It's not easy being normal. The most beautiful part is watching your parents love each other. Didn't even see how this would be valuable until I became an adult and learned that not everyone gets to grow up seeing healthy love. This plays an important factor in the relationships I have, and it's the reason why I'm glad to say I'm healthy. So, whenever I hear about people I know in abusive and toxic relationships, the first thing I always ask is how were their parents' relationship? Trauma is a real and unfortunate learning mechanism. Exactly. Watching my parents with each other taught me how to love. As a child, I used to be a little jealous of how close they were to each other, of how much love they had for each other. I wanted them to always put me first. I see now that, in nurturing their love for each other, they created a stable foundation for me and my siblings to grow and thrive. They are certainly not perfect, but they are a shining example of what I hope my life with my partner can someday be. I feel bad, because from the phraseology of this question it sounds like you don't, but I'm not going to lie to you, it's incredible. I was born to two loving parents who waited until they were well off financially to have children. The only struggle I've ever had in my life is with depression, genetic/hereditary, nothing I can really do about it. I'm in college now, my parents pay for my expensive university with all their heart, they go out of their way to do little things to make me happy. My mom will surprise me with takeout from my favorite restaurant, my dad will surprise me with basketball tickets, or take me to see a movie. We have arguments, but it's 99% of the time over little things that we don't remember 10 minutes later, and it rarely happens. We operate as a family, make decisions as a family. Like every important decision I make is not all on me, it's as a family, so it's low risk, high reward. A big part of parents being loving is parents being responsible, and my parents have always been responsible adults. I think it's a special kind of cruel when a child loses a strong image of parents, or they never had it in the first place. I view my parents as strong figures, anchors. They have their moments of weakness, but overwhelmingly are always strong. I only hope to continue this and be an even better parent to my eventual kids. That last paragraph is interesting. I think there's a moment in every child's life when they understand that their parents are fallible and flawed, and that the stability of home life is at risk. I don't remember ever not knowing this. We were poor. All my clothes were hand-me-downs or from the Salvation Army. I always knew we didn't have money. I worried about it constantly. I didn't ask for things much because I knew we couldn't afford them because my mom told me so. I knew my parents didn't have a strong relationship because they fought all the time, and also my mom told me so. My dad rarely came home from work on time. He drank in the garage when he was home. Eventually he stopped coming home 4 days at a time. That strong anchor idea hits a nerve for me because I've kind of always been aware I was on my own. My parents are not strong anchors. Like I never thought if I were really in trouble I couldn't ask for help. But I've always known that only I'm responsible for 99% of my life, work, responsibilities, and troubles, and if I hit that 1% and need help, it had better not be crying wolf. I'm not sure about loving parents, but I know about a loving parent. My mom is my hero. She shows me what love is. About 12 years ago my father was deported and left behind 5 kids. I, being 12, was the oldest. With both parents being immigrants, it wasn't always easy to find houses to live in or find jobs. My father was the only source of income, so when he got deported we really did not know what to expect. I saw a side of my mom I never knew existed. She started selling tamales and working a few jobs here and there just to make ends meet. We had to live in a garage. We had to live in a single room. Try putting 6 people in a single room. Through it all my mother never complained, and I never saw her cry. We suffered for years and still do, but not as much compared to back then. I work and help out as much as I can, and now 2 of my siblings work and help her out. But regardless, she is still working 6 days a week, and so am I. This is what having a loving parent is like. A parent who will go through hell just to make ends meet. Always showing us love, no matter how hard it got. This is beautiful. I hope your family's struggles ease with better days ahead. Op, is everything okay? Reading this question broke my heart. Thanks for asking. I was watching a YouTube video of a girl doing a hair tutorial and her daughter came up to her. The mother was nothing but loving, showering her little girl with compliments and telling how much she loved her. It really made me curious about what it's like to grow up with parents like that. I feel like a stranger in my family. I always hold back what I want to express. Right. I feel more at home when I'm hanging out with the local hobos than I do coming home to my parents. As I've gotten older, my views on this kind of question have shifted significantly. I thought I understood what loving, caring parents were, and that mine were pretty good but not great. Since I've met my parents, I truly understand what a caring parent is, and that mine never were. I grew up in a quite racist household with parents that only did things that were interesting to them, even though I repeatedly said I did not want to do them. My father for the majority of my life made a joke that he was out of town whenever anything related to me came up, but, or neutral. I have no interest in speaking to either of my parents, although my mom calls about once every couple of weeks and tells me that I'm not being fair to them and that I need to let the past go. I have come to dislike my parents and cannot remember a time when I felt mutual respect. So's parents are not perfect. There are several times that there have been disagreements, but I have never not felt mutual respect. They are willing to ask for their child's and my help when needed. They try to plan outings that include all of us and make significant effort to understand. I have found in her parents what I always wanted from mine. Mutual respect. That's gotta be a defining characteristic of a loving parent. My dad did not believe in mutual respect. He expected the utmost respect and only gave it when he felt like it. No clue. Same dude, literally crying reading these responses. It's great. The only downside is that I feel extremely privileged all the time. It's a trade-off I'd make any day though. It's okay. Use that privilege to help others by treating other people as well as your parents have treated you. Thanks for this post, Opus. I really needed to read people's responses here because it is just reinforcing the fact that my parents are not loving and are emotionally abusive, manipulative assholes. I'm not being facetious. After beating drug addiction, this is my last hurdle in clearing the evils from my life, and I appreciate the validation in these comments more than anyone can know. I was right when I listened to my gut and started to cut them off. I went to therapy, talked to my friends, my support group, but it's never easy to realize the two people who are supposed to love you unconditionally and be there for you are only out for themselves. I'm sure there are others here who have had the same realization, and I'd like to thank y'all too for being strong. Thank you, Reddit. I needed this today more than I can explain. Right there with you. Some of the stuff in here that people are posting in here is the complete opposite of my childhood. This month makes 15 years since I've seen my father. I cut him out of my life when I was 13. A lot of people in my family shamed me because he's family, and that's the most important thing. But when half your family is emotionally abusive drunks, you gotta do what you can to save yourself. My mom, on the other hand, wasn't too much better than him, but she did provide for us. But living with an alcoholic with rage issues is not great for being a little kid. She is still in my life and I only see her once a year and we don't speak on the phone, so it is manageable now that I'm independent of her. To anyone who may be in an abusive household, do what you need to in order to take care of yourself. Don't let people shame you into normalizing abusive relationships. Abuse is not just physical. You aren't alone. Your feelings are valid. My dad teaches me everything about farming, and my mom makes the best dinners. You can't kill yourself cause you know you re-loved and would destroy your parents' lives. Also, they are there for you unconditionally, which is pretty nice. Been told how much I ruined my parents' life so much that it led to my suicide attempts, so I can't say I relate. Amazing. My mother is the most loving and caring mother you could ask for. I'm 30, but still close as hell with my mum, visit every weekend, and help her with the DIY side of things in her home. She's slowly going blind, which is heartbreaking to watch her struggle with day-to-day life. Once she's completely blind, I'm leaving my job to help look after her as much as I can. She gave me and my siblings the best upbringing she could have given us, so I have to repay her. So yeah, it's great having loving parents. You will do anything for each other. This is so wholesome. The feeling of acceptance, understanding, and security. Also the immense knowing that they will do anything for you, even if it means that they go through hell. My father and mother escaped from communist countries, Poland and Vietnam, and nearly died during it. Upon arriving, they worked many jobs and went through hell in order to give us a good upbringing. My father owns a pizza shop, and in its early days he worked from 8 AM to 3 AM, usually not being able to sleep because of the stress of knowing that if something goes wrong, his family will starve. At the worst of it that I know of, he had to set up a mattress at the back of the store and slept there, so he knew that it would be okay. My parents have been through hell and back for us, and will in the future if they need to. Nevertheless, they gave us enough attention and love. One of the biggest thing for me is trust. I trust them, and they do trust me. We have mutual respect. My parents are very understanding of the fact that teens needed to be able to be teens. My friends and I make a lot of dirty jokes, and in general tend to be really loud. We like to play games like Cap, typical teen stuff. I'm always afraid that my parents will judge me or overhear us talking about these things, but they never mind. During my birthday party, I went back upstairs to bring down some drinks and apologized to my dad for the noise. He looked at me with the kindest look I've ever seen him give and said, "Don't apologize, you're fine." Later, my mom started talking about how teens just needed a place to be teens, and they told me after the party that they had been cracking up at some of the stuff they had overheard from the basement. I appreciate this so much in them. The level of trust that they have in me is great. I couldn't be more thankful to have such understanding parents. Please tell them all that. Hopefully someday you'll all be adults together and you can have a conversation looking back on it, but things might not work out that way and you'll be happier if you explicitly expressed your gratitude when you had the chance. It is wonderful to deep down never doubt their love. They always made me feel that, even if they didn't approve of something I did as a kid, they didn't disapprove of me. I miss them dearly. Gave me all opportunities I wanted. I learned instruments. I could visit the school I wanted. Played football. Went on interesting holidays. There was always someone to talk when I needed someone. On the other hand though, I got really spoiled by having that kind of parents. Working a holiday job for the first time was a slap into the face by reality. Everything has its pros/cons, but I wouldn't want to swap with someone who didn't have loving parents. The fact that you acknowledge how you were spoiled due to that is pretty respectable from you. I have a few friends with great loving parents that have been spoiled for most of their life. They somehow fail to realize it and get all defensive when I point out some activity I, for example, never got the chance to do due to my strict parents, which comes off as ungrateful and delusional from their side. We need more people in the world who address their privileges like you just did. You mean, what is it actually like to have parents who care about you? Like, to have parents who do not want to stab you in the back? Good question. I don't know. Same. I'm just out here trying to put together a support system of friends I like to think of as family and vice versa. Hope you find the same. Good luck. To be honest, it's amazing and I wouldn't trade the world for it. I'm only 19, but in every part of my life, childhood, preteen, etc., I got along with my parents, like not just to the level of tolerance, but I literally preferred to hang out with them, be in their presence, etc. I think my parents have a whole lot of love to give. They extend their kindness, not just to their kids, so I feel like, even before they became parents, they were loving people in general. Becoming parents just gave them more people to love. This is wonderful. You're very lucky, brown love. It sucks when you lose them. This means the love was real. The pain is the love that has nowhere to go anymore. I told my mom that my office is opening back up again and asked her to make me a few masks, and she's made 10. When we were little, she would read to us in bed. Our friends' parents didn't buy groceries, just gave them a food allowance, which the kids spent at the gas station, so there was never any fruit at their house. My mom bought my friend's favorite apples for her. Been wondering this for 29 years. Same. Some parents should not have had children. Dude, you okay? I was until I started reading the comments. Chiz hurts, man. Sadly, I wish I had one. My parents literally use me like an investment. I always get beaten and punished for making them even a little bit uncomfortable. My parents groomed me to be a slave. The best way to get back at your parents' abuse is to make their investment a total loss by compellently disappearing from their lives at a time best suited to you. No contact. No trace. They make sacrifices every day for you and don't expect anything in return because they do it out of pure love. None of that constant guilt tripping like, I do everything for you and you don't do anything, you ungrateful child. They do it because they want you to succeed and flourish, not because they want you to be obligated back to them. This explains it for me. I know my parents love by the fact that it has cost them, but it's free to me. Their gifts of time and energy and attention and finances are not used to manipulate or exploit me, or an investment for when they are aging. It just brings them joy to give their life away to me. That's love. It makes me want to love them well, and I'm especially free of trying to repay them, because I just couldn't. Don't know. I get hit by my dad. Me mum doesn't know what to do. I can't go to the police because I don't want to lose my dad. I'm 16 years old and don't know what to do. I have a severe trauma because of my dad. I really have no advice other than to contact CPS or the cops. I'm so sorry about what is happening. I know you don't want to lose your dad, but it sounds like he's just making you and your mother's lives miserable. Do you have any other family member you can reach out to? I'm gonna wait for a response. They would do anything for you without looking for anything in return. Wonderful. My dad admits that he doesn't always understand me. I'm autistic and asexual, but as long as I'm a good person and a hard worker, he will always be proud of me. My mom is one of my best friends. You can be the most loving mom and dad, but still be chisty parents. There is more to raising children than giving affection. Some parents are cold and unloving, but they provide a stable home, teach their kids to be functioning members of society, and give them opportunities to succeed in life. We all want the love and affection of mom and dad, but if you don't get it, don't dismiss your parents as being bad. You had me in the first half. You can be a loving parent and an enabler setting the kid up to fail, but raising a kid, like you're training a dog, hell, even dogs get affection usually, is being a chisty parent. My father left before I was born. My mother has been my rock, my confidant, my everything. Because I don't remember my dad at all, I don't miss him. I'm very grateful of my parent. It's kinda sad that this question needs to be asked. For what it's worth, I'm learning what a good parent is like for when I'm lucky enough to have kids of my own. It's hard to explain actually. My parents are just always there for me and are so supportive. They share in my achievements, encourage me to get to my goals, and are there for me when I'm down. It sounds so corny, but it is really true. It took me 6 years to get my degree because I was working full time. Mum and dad would come over during exam weeks and cook me dinner or do my washing just because they knew how stressed I was. When I had a miscarriage, ectopic, so I had to stay in hospital a little while, they dropped in daily with food, toiletries, etc. for both my husband and I. They have supported me financially over the years. They are in no way well off. Like when my washing machine broke, they bought me a second-hand one, even though they actually needed a new machine themselves. They prioritize me and my husband over themselves. They might be a little overbearing at times, but I'm so grateful they are my parents. Are you alright op? Username does not check out, but super cool that you asked. Saw elsewhere someone else asked and op replied. Seemed to just be wondering about it, based on a video they saw. Still sad, but questions like this make me think someone could be dealing with some dark stuff. Having a bill commit suicide makes you sensitive. Just wanted you to know I appreciated you asking, and in case you didn't see it, op did reply to another similar question. Hopefully some soul searching and good results come of tough questions like these. I hope and pray it be so. We have a good relationship. I have a healthy love and respect for them as there's no hurt in my past that would have caused me to feel bitterness and anger at them. I don't fear them and instead feel completely comfortable to ask them for help. If we fight, well, work it out civilly by the end. I can stand up to them if they do something wrong. If I cross a line, feel say so and reprimand me accordingly. I also don't put them on a pedestal either. I know they're flawed and have done some things that I don't agree with, but at the end of the day the good they've given me far outweighs any negative side effects. No parents are perfect, but mine were pretty good. It's pretty nice. When you're younger, they might make mistakes, but you know that they will be there to reel you in and help you get better. As you get older, you get to see them more as just another regular person instead of an indestructible bulwark of your life. They become someone you can talk to, hang out with at times, while still giving you support and guidance. It's amazing. It was an eye-opening experience for me when I was first starting college and meeting so many people that didn't have the same kind of strong parental guidance and support that I had. It made me extremely grateful to have my parents and allowed me view things from a different perspective. I moved to attend a college multiple states away from my parents, but since I've been away I have made some really good relationships with people at my job, my university, and around my apartment community, and that has really helped me cope with not being able to have that strong relationship we used to have, or being able to see them no more than a couple times a year. Honestly, I wouldn't know. Growing up, I realized my family was very different. My parents were divorced, and my mom was mentally ill but functional. My dad remarried. My mom ended up having lots of boyfriends. We weren't high priority for either parent, and were supposed to fit into their lives at their convenience, and on top of that, both parents tried to turn us against the other parent. Basically, we were only valuable as pawns or targets, whatever suited at the time. Neither parent wanted to actually parent us. We were the cast-offs from a failed bitter relationship, and that's pretty much how we were treated. So as an adult, I ended up with a severe mental illness related to being able to form attachments to people, and it's taken years and years of therapy and medication changes to get to where I'm now. Neither of my parents acknowledged their part regarding my severe mental illness and swore they didn't remember. They remember how much they spent on us, and that's good enough for them. I stopped talking to my parents years ago. So here's to me. Happy Father's Day, self. I've been my own mother and father for a long time. That's the question I'll never know the answer to. Same. All these people talking about their amazing supportive parents have me feeling so alienated right now. I have no idea what it's like to have truly loving and caring parents. My in-laws have given me a glimpse of it. They are amazing, but my own are definitely narcissists. This is a bit weird, but probably too much freedom. They let me do anything, within reason, but I still constrained myself within my own strict rules. It felt wrong to have so much freedom. They trust you to make a right decision, and if not, then that you'll learn from your mistakes, but that doesn't mean they won't advise you. They'll be there for you. They understand that sometimes things need to be learned by doing, and not from being told, and also comes hand in hand with teaching responsibility, that you don't need them to tell you every move you are to make in your life, but that you can choose for yourself. Accountability, responsibility, trust and love. These are the best things a parent can teach. I enjoyed having freedom, but also responsibility. I learned to work hard and enjoy what I have. Now, I take care of them. I do their shopping, so they are not exposed to covet. For a related, but slightly different perspective, I have parents who are not bad or abusive but distant. I've never wanted for anything until I learned what I was missing out on. After I graduated university, but before I moved to another city for a job, I visited a friend's house. Their parents were really excited and congratulated me on the job, asked questions about it, and how I felt about moving. I had only met them once before. I felt a rush of warmth, and it felt amazing. Cozy, like when you're sitting by the fire with snow outside. The reaction from my parents was good job. No celebration or real interest beyond that. I'd marry that girl just to join her family. This is my experience. My parents provided me a stable home, but my emotional needs were completely neglected growing up. I can't remember the last time my mother told me she loved me without me saying it to her first. On my wedding day she didn't tell me I looked pretty or that she was happy for me. I moved out in my early 20s, now mid 30s, and neither of them have invited me or my husband to spend time together during the holidays. There are tons of other small things that I never realized weren't normal until recently. It sucks because I know it had an impact on me and still does, but it feels strange to bring this up at all. They weren't outright abusive, but parenting is more than keeping a child alive. I'm not a houseplant. My parents aren't just people, but I do have a very loving father-in-law. He is always so supportive. He is the reason I went back to school. No depression. I doubt that very much. We always loved our daughter, and she knows it, but she deals with depression. Certainly always seemed like an internal struggle to me. Pretty great. Elaborate please. Do you get compliments for achieving small things? Do they tell you how much they love you? How do you deal with all the positive attention? Do you notice how different your parents are compared to companions? I used to think I had loving parents until I saw what my friends' relationships with their parents were like. Now I'm just going through the mourning phase of what I thought my life was until I got a huge reality check. They care for you, even if you don't or can't see it. They don't hit you because they know better. They crack jokes, help you understand this weird world we all live in. They help you become an adult. They never run fair with punishment, which they rarely give. You can always trust they'll be by your side in the hard and good times. They cry when you do, cheer when you cheer, and are always there to see you morph into a great person. They are family, and family is not left behind. Edit. A friend saw this message and cried. Being a child development major, your parents really affect your attachment. Having loving parents make you more secure and not having to search for love and acceptance in all the wrong places. Growing up with loving parents just means that you can value yourself and love yourself. Chances are it means you have better relationships with other people in your life. Why? because loving parents aren't perfect, but they probably know how to apologize and make amends, and thus you learn from them. Feel loving. So as a child, when you make mistakes, although there can be consequences, they still love you and show you that it's not you, the child, who is bad. It's the mistake you made that was bad. So don't worry, you're still loved immensely. When you grow up, you're able to make mistakes and know that you did something wrong, but that doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with you. Also, having loving parents means you have less of a chance to stay in toxic/abusive relationships, because you know what love is, because you have shared it with your parents. When a parent who is supposed to love you mistreats you, you may know that you're being mistreated, but you still haven't experienced love, and you might not be able to distinguish it in future relationships, romantic or platonic, as a child and an adult. My personal thoughts/experiences about this is having or not having loving parents is deeply rooted in emotion. I believe that those who grow up with loving parents are typically more mature in how they communicate their emotions compared to those who don't. In college, I've been told that in times of stress we revert back to what we know, meaning our parents. So in my opinion, children with loving parents have a higher chance of not lashing out or having meltdowns when they have to communicate their emotions. Those I statements. I felt sad when I heard you say that, versus WTF is wrong with you. Granted, in the moment people may react differently, but after everything sinks in and you calm down, are you able to simply state what that horrible thing that happened made you feel like? Or do you blow up again and become accusatory? Do you shut down and have to leave so you want to never speak of it again and forget it ever happened and move on? Because you still haven't said what it is that you felt. I think loving parents promote communication and expressing how you feel, and I don't know that many loving parents necessarily allow that. And because of that, I don't see how you could obtain that skill of discussing your emotions properly if you grew up not being allowed to really do so/do properly. Duck knows, but I'm glad there's a lot of people in this world that have loving parents. I bet it's nice. It's like being on a team for life. Whatever decisions I make, I know I have their support 100%. They genuinely only want for you to be happy. They never push you into anything, but always discuss the options with you and are ready to help you with whatever choice you make. I've always felt respected and listened to, am never dismissed or belittled or mocked. I know I have their support for life. It's like a security blanket. One thing that really shows it to me was after a fight. When I was a kid and we had a fight and yelled, it would end in apologizing to each other for yelling and them explaining their reasoning. I've never been made to feel like my feelings aren't valid or don't matter, and that's something incredibly important to me now. I think parents often can be dismissive of their kids because they're just kids, and they don't realize how much that can undermine somebody's confidence and communication skills for life. My dad is absent, but my mom is incredibly loving. What stands out most to me is how endlessly supportive she is. As long as my siblings and I are doing something, working, going to school, actively seeking out education/training/employment/therapy, just generally trying to move forward in our lives, we can be awed that she is behind us. If she ever doubted my ability to succeed at something, she never let me know. This is something I took for granted before having friends and partners who did not get that kind of support at home. I can't imagine how chusty it would be to get your dreams crushed by your parents, or to feel that you can't live up to their expectations. Reading all the replies makes me cry, and it's 2:10 AM here. Op, I hope you're okay, and if you're not, I hope you can find the love and attention you deserve. Sorry I can't offer anything, because we're on the same boat. Parents who connect and teach you instead of punish and shame. Who describe behavior as safe and unsafe instead of good and bad. Who notice and tell the child what they appreciate. Who explain what is happening and try to give the comfort of routines in an uncertain world. Who engage with eye contact, touch, presence and playful situations. Who play with their kids. Who don't give them everything they want but explain they need to make sure they have money for things needed. Who give choices, i.e. do you want to get ready for bed now or in 5 minutes? Which park do you want to go to, etc. Who prompt with choices, do you want to start with picking up the blocks or your ball? Who allow children time to complete tasks instead of screaming right now? who show empathy at every upset and even disobedience, acknowledge what they wanted, and then gently give redirection or consequences, who ask other adults to simply reinforce the consequence you gave them instead of putting them on blast, who praise them to others, who don't take their behavior personally, who love and coach themselves through their negative emotions and model and teach the same to the children, who practice self-care and take time for themselves, because when we are hungry, stressed and tired we feel cranky, no different than an infant, who understand their flaws and walls and tables are not sacred, so don't get mad over messes. I never thought I'd cry scrolling through comments. It's quite depressing reading all these comments, wondering how filled my life could have been. I feel the same. I really wish I'd not clicked on this thread. What a depressing thread. The only thing I wanted was parents that support me in anything I want to do. It's really sad that my parents always said that I'm not good enough for anything I was trying to do. If I ever have kids I will want to be as supportive of their dreams as I can, cause it's really hard when your parents look at your dreams like it's a useless dream, or instead of saying go for it, we will support you in any way we can, they say cheers like you are not good enough. Some onion cutting ninja bitches just infiltrated my house. Damn. I'm so jealous, my childhood was awful. Ouch, this fkin hurt, mate. No idea, but I used to go visit friends as a kid and just watch parental interactions with their kids, like I was watching a Disney movie. I don't know. I realized it when my longtime boyfriend could not rely on his family if he ever got in a jam, even needing a ride, because he's stuck somewhere in the middle of the night. Both my parents would be there in an instant. They were at every recital, game, track meet and band performance I ever had. They supported me and told me that I could do anything. Dad taught me sports and mom taught me culture. I was never body shamed or hurt. I always felt safe. I lost dad at 26 to cancer, and then this last Christmas, 12 years later at Christmas, we found mom dead in her home from liver failure. I had a short time with them, comparatively, but I'm lucky I had the time I did. They were my everything. I hope my kids feel the same about me. You have people who consistently care about you, who want you to succeed. A whole ton of support and love. My parents both grew up with abusive parents. My mom's dad was incarcerated for a lot of her childhood. Her mom was emotionally abusive. My dad's dad was physically and emotionally abusive and abused my dad's mom. My parents made conscious choices to not be like their parents. It was not accident for them to be the parents they've been to me. They chose to be this way. They reminded each other constantly if the other one was displaying behavior they had agreed to never have toward my sister and me. And it worked. They are wonderful, and I have really healthy relationships with both of them. Ask me the opposite of this, and boy do I have stories to tell. As a teenager, you can get mad and shout at them. You can roll your eyes and act like a typical teenager, and you know you'll still have your place with them. You can go out and fail, and you can call them, and your room will be ready with no question about how long you'll be there. As an adult you'll accept yourself. You won't be lashing out people when they love you, thinking they are out to get something from you. You won't hesitate to show your love, and you won't make it conditional, because you've seen unconditional love. Loving parents will be nosy and well-meaning and irritate you with their concern. And then you'll come across a question like this and feel bad about being irritated because you feel they are too much sometimes. As if there can be too much love. I had loving parents when I was growing up. They are alive and still married now, something like 40 years. Anyway, I wasn't spoiled, but I was well taken care of. My wife not so much. Her parents weren't there for her near as much, and at times I think she thinks she was a burden to them. Now we are married, she has seen the contrast, and my parents love her as they do me, and for a while it was surprising to her. She wasn't used to the unconditional love from a parent she loves, knowing if she needs to she can go to my parents for help just like I do. Now she's on speaking terms with both her parents, even though her parents have been divorced for many years. But she has told me before she thinks my parents love her more than her own parents. That makes me sad, but I'm glad my family can be there for her too. It's amazing I can trust them to support me through difficult times or to just help me out with figuring out how to live life. Last year I had to write my bachelor thesis and I completely shut down. I had no motivation and I felt lots of anxiety. When the deadline came near, I was nowhere near finished. I broke down over the phone to my parents and they came to pick me up and take me home. Then, they helped me get an extension on the deadline. And they also helped me to get on a strict schedule for writing, 1 hour writing, and 20 minutes break. They also proofread finished parts to catch silly mistakes. This gave me enough motivation to write and eventually finish my thesis. Luckily, I parred with a good grade. I'm so thankful that both my mom and dad put so much effort into helping me out so much. They cold let me fall down completely to learn that I need to get help when I need to, but they didn't, and I learned the same lesson without the harsh consequences. I love them very much. Shout out to all the adults who survived family traumatic experiences. I wouldn't know. Being able to choose what you want to do in life. There's no pressure to be rich or famous. If you fail, they'll forgive you. If you're broke, they'll support you. If you get sick in a foreign country, they'll spend 24+ hours traveling to visit you in hospital. Oof, ironic question to ask on Father's Day. I don't know, but I'll ask my son when he's older and let you know. Oh my, you watched until the end? That's fucking awesome, dude. Thanks for watching.